A presidential election following an impeachment anywhere is going to feel very intense. And that's certainly been the case in South Korea over the past several months, as citizens have been waiting with bated breath for final resolution to the impeachment that happened 2 months ago.
Scenes of joy and despair on the streets of Seoul this morning as South Korea's constitutional court ruled unanimously to uphold the impeachment of President Yoon Suk Yeol.
President Yoon was impeached because he had declared martial law back in December, which the Constitutional Court found to be in violation of his power. Right now, there are 3 main candidates. 2 are polling the strongest. They're from the traditional parties on the left and right in South Korea. The leading candidate in the polls is Lee Jae-myung, the progressive candidate from the Democratic Party Korea. He's presenting himself as more of a centrist figure than some of his progressive forebears, to try to both get more of the electorate, but also, I think, shift the party toward a more centrist position. The traditional conservative party, the People's Power Party, is Kim Moon-soo, who has a background as both a politician and a bureaucrat, and he's presenting a much stronger conservative line, even aligning himself with the impeached President Yoon. There's a third-party candidate, Lee Joo-seok, who is polling much lower in the single digits, but is having a pretty strong go in the media, and he had a pretty strong showing on the debate stage earlier this week. So the implications for this election domestically are twofold. The first one is the president needs to unify the country. The country has been really suffering from these feelings of deep polarization that's really plagued the country since its democratization in the late 80s, but has really become exacerbated over the past decade, especially as online forms of media, especially YouTube, have caused a greater rift between the left and right in South Korea. The second thing, the next Korean president is going to need to regain a sense of authority for the president. The South Korean President Yoon Suk Yeol isn't the first president to be impeached even in the past decade. When it comes to international affairs, the Korean president is going to have a pretty heavy lift, especially going into this relative vacuum of the presidency over the past several months as the Trump administration has come into office. Economically, this is where they're probably going to have the hardest time, especially as their trade negotiations are ongoing with Washington, and some of its most important industries are export-led. Security-wise, the South Korean administration is also going to have lingering questions about how the Trump administration is going to be dealing with North Korea. Certainly, we expect Trump to reach out to Kim Jong-un, and the South Koreans aren't going to want to be sidelined in that conversation. Meanwhile, the questions about how Sino-U.S. rivalry are going to be playing out in the region have direct implications for how South Korea sees its economy, security, and even social well-being. Hopefully, on June 3rd, South Koreans will get a final sense of resolution after these ongoing months of political crisis. For more coverage on the martial law declaration, the impeachment, and the election, you can check out Carnegie's website.